Hello guys, today 25th of May, hello from Plant Reviews. Today I will talk about an orchid that I'm not too sure about the name. To me this is clearly a hybrid, a Brassia hybrid. I tried to find the name, but I couldn't really find the image of a flower resembling as close as possible to this beautiful star-shaped flowers with pretty long sepals and quite long petals as well, including the lip. The closest orchid I found similar to this is the Brassia Orange Delight. Even if the Brassia Orange Delight has way longer petals and sepals, and it is more spotted than this one. I will talk a little bit about the story of this orchid. I love fragrant flowers and fragrant orchids in particular, and this one first of all caught my eye because of the beautiful yellow color and very exotic star shape of the flower, obviously. And secondly, when I smelled the flower, unlike most of the Brassia orchids, this one has a pretty strange fragrance, similar to camphor actually, and but not is not the fragrance is not overpowering. Actually, you really need to stick the nose near the flower. However, is a kind of camphor fragrance that I find very pleasant. This is again, I'm really pretty sure this is a Brassia orchid. I bought it in Homebase, is a chain of DIY supermarkets that have also a gardening and houseplant section. And I bought this plant about 4 years ago now. Yes, these plants, most of the plants are traded by Inca orchids with many oncidium and Brassia hybrids, and this one in particular I found not very common. So I was basically buying this plant every time I was finding it because I had some problems in keeping it alive. I bought in total 4 of these orchids. And in sphagnum, there is the medium that they were potted in the supermarket. I found that they died quite quickly, probably because the sphagnum was already kind of degraded. So this one luckily survived once I transferred in after I transferred it in bark. There is a much easier medium to keep Oncidium's brassias, etc. Because it is more airy than the sphagnum moss, even if it keeps less humidity, tends to degrade much slower than sphagnum moss. After planting this plant in bark, this plant never flowered, anyway, still grew. I decided to try to convert it in semi-hydroponics. I had a period where I was trying to convert all orchids in semi-hydroponics. Unfortunately, some orchids didn't stand well and I lost them. However, this one luckily survived also the treatment in semi-hydro. As you can see, it is in a measuring jar, so I can keep the check of the water. It is quite low today. It is about 100 ml. Usually I keep it between 200 and 400 milliliters, so I will water these orchids. As you can see, also the other in semi-hydro I have quite low level. I will water these orchids tonight. This is an oncidium hybrid, and this orchid, I keep this orchid on the ground floor because it's in the kitchen that is together with the living room is the freshest room. Oncidium hybrids and brassias don't like really hot temperatures. This is basically on a shelf very close to a windowsill, east facing, so receives enough light. And I also have a few cattleyas, one recently bloomed as well. And even if obviously now the flowers are fading. Going back about this orchid, when I converted to semi-hydro, I found that this orchid, luckily, the root tips and the roots themselves are quite thick, as you can see, so they can stand also a little bit of dryness from the medium, from the leca, because the lake, as you know, in semi-hydro, as you probably know, in semi-hydro, tend to dry up very much on the surface, and the roots of some orchids that are very sensitive can actually be burnt if by the leca that sucks humidity by the roots. Indeed, I have another Brassia, that's a species, as a Brassia longissima, that I had in semi-hydro, but I had to reconvert in sphagnum moss because was terribly affected by the leca in contact with the new roots. And this sphagnum moss, I have to say, it actually is recovering pretty well. This is obviously new sphagnum moss, so I know it's not degraded and it's still very airy. There's lots of air spaces, so the roots have also enough aeration. Going back to this plant, the ideal moment to repot an orchid is when it puts new roots. However, also the worst period to repot the orchid is when the orchid is in blooming. Usually the orchids put new roots before or after the blooming. This is really the only orchid that decided to bloom and put new roots at the same time. So I decided a way to enjoy the flowers a bit more. The plant is still pretty stable in the compost, and the roots are going through in the medium, as you can see, quite well. So I think as soon as the flower will fade, I will repot the orchid, not in a wider container, because actually there's still a lot of space left, but probably in a taller one. These orchids tend to go upwards quite a lot. Brassias are sympodial orchids like cattleyas, but I found the cattleyas usually tend to grow horizontally, so they, as you can see, they are easier to control, while many oncidiums, like indeed this Brassia hybrid, but also some other oncidium, some other species in the oncidium family, you can see, tend to go upwards with the pseudobulbs. So I will probably need to repot it in a higher container. The leaves of this orchid are, you see, are quite swirl-shaped, green, and they are kind of similar to other oncidium orchids and other Brassias, including the Brassia longissima I have here. You can see how similar are the leaves of these plants. The bulbs, anyway, unlike many other oncidiums, are very elongated. Sorry, I have the cattleya here. I'll move it. Yeah, you can see how long are the pseudobulbs in this. They are very long and narrow in this orchid, while even the Brassia I have, the Brassia species, have much wider pseudobulbs, and the oncidiums, other oncidiums as well. This is another Brassia hybrid. This has thinner and longer pseudobulbs, but not as thin and long as this one. The color of the flower is a gorgeous, rich, intense yellow, almost orange, with two tiny spots on the upper petals that are, I would say, rusty colored. The flowers, I had it in bloom when I bought it. It was in bloom about 3 weeks, and probably was in bloom already for another week, from another week, because it was already in some of the lower petals were already in full bloom. So I would say that the total blooming time it is about 4 weeks. And the nice feature of this orchid is that in addition to have a beautiful color and a beautiful star-shaped flower, is fragrant. As I said, it is a very subtle camphor fragrance, very, very nice. These orchids, I didn't see this orchid in commerce for a while actually, even if I found periodically both in Homebase but also now in Tesco, and there is a supermarket here in the UK for my viewers that are not in the UK. And in garden centers, many orchids from Inca Orchids and from other sellers, mostly Brassia and Brassidium, like the famous Brassia Toscana. However, I didn't find this one in ages. So really, if you find one in the supermarket or in the garden center, I really would recommend you to buy, because there's not many orchids that combine this beautiful yellow star-shaped flower with this very unusual camphor fragrance. Also, the flower spike has a lot of flowers. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flowers already open, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buds. So with a flower spike of 11 flowers in total, these orchids will the orchid bloom will last for at least 4 weeks, hopefully 1 month, a little bit, and maybe a little bit longer. I hope you enjoyed the video, even if, as I said, please excuse me, I couldn't find the precise name. As I said, I think really it's a hybrid or share some ancestors with Brassia Orange Delight. And if you would like to support the channel, it is very simple. Just subscribe to my channel. This will give you also feedback every time I update a new video. If you like the video, please put your comments and like the video. Otherwise, obviously, give thumbs down if you didn't like it, and I will be pleased anyway, both if you can leave both negative or positive comments. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.